The Democrat Party's facade of unity has completely shattered as Senate Majority Leader Chuck Schumer faces unprecedented calls for his resignation. Former President Obama has reportedly criticized Schumer, Pelosi, and AOC in private conversations, highlighting the disorganized shambles of current Democrat leadership. The most explosive development, Bernie Sanders' bizarre behavior during a recent interview where he attempted to walk out if asked if he'd support AOC challenging Schumer for his Senate seat. As one put it, is he that scared to piss off Schumer and his Democrat masters? Well, progressive voices are now demanding a new Democrat Tea Party, while establishment figures desperately cling to power. All this unfolds as Trump continues racking up economic wins, bringing billions in investments to America and creating thousands of jobs. The contrast couldn't be more stark. While Democrats fight amongst themselves, true American heroes like Chuck Norris focus on what really matters, staying strong enough to defend our values and our way of life. I recently saw Chuck's video, and I was shocked. At 84 years old, he's still kicking, and he's still working out. There's more energy than politicians half his age. Unlike the Democrat Party's leadership struggles, Chuck found a simple solution that keeps him feeling like he's in his 50s. His wife started doing the same thing, feels 10 years younger, more energy and leaner body. Chuck discovered he could dramatically change his health by focusing on just 3 things that sabotage our bodies as we age. His method is revolutionary, but it's simple. Watch his explanation at chuckdefense.com/next, or simply click the link below this video. Learn from a true American legend. And we are happy to have Chuck Norris sponsoring the Next News Network. And speaking of sponsoring, Jake Tapper, should AOC primary Chuck Schumer? He's asking Representative Jasmine Crockett. Listen to this.
Primary. You're close with Congresswoman Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez of New York. Some of your fellow House Democrats say, and not just progressives, by the way, we've heard that moderates have said this too, that they're ready to support her to challenge Chuck Schumer in a Democratic primary. Would you get behind that?
That's 4 years from now. If you were asking me at least in 2 years, then I would have an absolute answer. But I can tell you that there are a lot of people that are watching his leadership in this moment. This is the moment. We don't even know what elections will look like in 4 years, if we will have elections. And so I definitely think that younger, fresher leadership may be something that many of us, not just depending on what part of the spectrum you're on, but many Americans may be looking for, especially in the state of New York.
How to take on the Republicans is a big topic of discussion among Democrats. Last week, you were one. You're close with Congress.
Okay. So she says, we won't know if we'll have elections in 4 years. I mean, that's the rhetoric they're spewing from the left right now. We have more. This is directly from Chuck Schumer declaring he's not stepping down after he's firing back at Pelosi.
Feeling pressure, your own party to step aside as minority leader. When asked about your future to town hall, Senator Michael Bennet said, quote, "It's important for people to know when it's time to go." Leader Schumer, are you feeling pressure to step down?
Look, I'm not stepping down. And let me just say this, Kristen. I knew when I cast my vote against against the government shutdown that there'd be a lot of controversy, and there was. But let me tell you and your audience why I did it, why I felt it was so important. The CR was certainly bad, you know, the continuing resolution, but a shutdown would be 15 or 20 times worse. Under a shutdown, the executive branch has sole power to determine what is, quote, essential. And they can determine without any court supervision. The courts have ruled it's solely up to the executive what to shut down. With Musk and Doge and Trump and this guy Vogt, V-O-G-H-T, I think is how you spell his name, is the head of OMB, they would eviscerate the federal government. On day 2, they could say, oh, SNAP, feeding hungry children, not essential. On day 4, mass transit, all transit, to aid to the states, not essential. We're cutting it. On day 6, Medicaid, we'll cut that by 20, 30, 50, 80%. We'll go after Social Security. We'll go after the veterans. Their goal is to just eviscerate the federal government so they can give more taxes, more tax cuts to their billionaire class.
Okay. Did you hear the level of fear mongering from that guy? I mean, it was outrageous. He ran down the list of, oh, this is what could happen. This is what could happen. He's going to cut this. He's going to cut SNAP. He's going to cut Medicaid. He's going to cut Social Security, all these things. So all the morons who are watching Meet the Press with Schumer are being fed this steady diet of fear porn. And that's exactly what they want. They want to seed the American people with lies of things that Trump would never do. And he's already stated. I mean, there was a moment the other day and in the cabinet meeting when somebody asked Trump, are you going to cut Social Security? And he set the reporter straight. He said, I'm not even going to answer the question. I've answered it a dozen times, and you shouldn't be asking me again. Because even the mainstream press continues to push these fake narratives, and they want their sound bites so they can get caught, they can be on camera. I mean, when I was in that press room last week, and I'm standing there on the side of the room, and I'm watching as the press secretary picks each person to ask a question. The same question was asked by the mainstream media multiple times. It was becoming very repetitive. And it was only so that those individual reporters in the press room could have their 5 seconds of fame on camera for that soundbite for the evening news. That's all it was. And then that same question would be repeated on all the mainstream media outlets to continue to pepper this false narrative of whatever the question was at that moment. And I'm like, I've got a question here that actually matters. Maybe you could pick me. Of course, I didn't get picked. Maybe my time will come at some point. However, but witnessing the mainstream media in action physically in that press room is a sight to behold. So let's continue. Here is AOC, who is upset with Chuck Schumer.
About progressive Democrats. I think there is a deep sense of outrage and betrayal. And this is not just about progressive Democrats. This is across the board, the entire party. Yeah. There are members of Congress who have won Trump-held districts in some of the most difficult territory in the United States, who walked the plank and took innumerable risks in order to defend the American people, in order to defend Social Security, Medicaid, and Medicare, just to see Senate Democrats even consider.
You see, there she goes again, spewing the fear porn and the lies so they could defend Social Security and Medicare. See, she knows who's watching these programs. She knows that, like, all the kids, they're on social media. Okay, they're on TikTok, they're on Snapchat, they're on all these other platforms, and they're not paying attention to what's happening. But the older demographic who still watches the mainstream press is being fed a steady diet of lies from the lips of people like Schumer and AOC. Let's continue.
Yesing to Elon Musk, I think it is a huge slap in the face, and I think that there's a wide sense of betrayal if things proceed as currently planned.
How will House Democrats and Senate Democrats work together now if there is such a sense of betrayal?
I think that creates a real challenge, and that in and of itself, I think, is part of what makes the leadership of this moment so crucial, because this is a decision about
the leadership of this moment. That was another talking point that they were spewing. The moment, meet the moment, meet the moment. That's what they were all saying on all the platforms. They got the Democrat talking points handed down in the memo. They hit them. They hit the airwaves and said, meet the moment. And she's, again, repeating those talking points.
Trust. It is a decision about trust and cooperation, because there will be a day where the Senate will need the House to move on something. And if there is an erosion of trust and a breach of trust, such as what is being considered right now, it will make cooperation difficult. And we cannot afford to be in an every person for themselves kind of moment. We need to work together and as a team in order to usher our country through this very dark time.
The point that Senator Schumer has kind of made is, the CR is bad, but a shutdown is worse. So how do you respond to that point?
That is I cannot I cannot underscore enough how incorrect that is. Because what this does, what voting for this CR does, is that it codifies the chaos and the reckless cuts that Elon Musk has been pursuing. The robbing of our federal government in order to finance tax cuts for billionaires is what is happening. And that is what Senate Democrats will be empowering if they vote for the CR. I think there's a deep...
Oh, man. Tax cuts for the billionaire class. Here's a Today with Tally podcast. Socialist Bernie Sanders and AOC are making millions of dollars off the backs of American socialists. They are pure genius.
For a rally. Bernie Sanders and AOC took a trip to Denver, Colorado. That's right, folks, where the legalization is really screwing up a lot of the hearts and minds of a lot of Coloradans to get them out to Capitol Hill for a rally 3 years and 10 months in advance of the presidential election. Now, what exactly were these Democratic socialists doing? They were selling T-shirts, hats, books, and whatever merchandise that they could drum up to make money off the backs of other socialists. Now, how else are you supposed to be making millions of dollars on a base salary of $174,000 a year? It seems as if you guys are always whining and complaining about things going on in Washington. But here you are, grandstanding in a state you don't even represent while complaining about the current state of our nation. Bernie Sanders and AOC took a trip to Denver, Colorado. That's right.
Man. Oh, yes. AOC holding a rally against billionaires in an arena owned by a billionaire. Kevin Smith writes, because she's an idiot.
For you, in fact, one thing I love about Arizonans is that you all have shown that if a U.S. senator isn't fighting hard enough for you, you're not afraid to replace her with one who will and win. And that's how you got two fantastic senators in Mark Kelly and Ruben Gallego.
Yeah, they stole that election too. Somebody in AOC's crowd at a rally in Colorado yelled, "Bring back," oh no, while she was talking about Elon Musk.
And oligarchs will back his campaigns and bankroll those of his allies. They scratch his back, and he scratches theirs, and all of us are left behind.
You heard that, right? I did. Absolutely disgraceful. That's the level these people will go. Paul Zapula writing, well, AOC or Bernie Sanders condemn the many calls for violence by their supporters who went to the rally in Denver. Look at this guy. I don't even want to play any more of these people. These people are out of their minds. From bartender to socialist icon, AOC is no longer just a loud voice in the squad. She's now the heir apparent to Bernie's far left movement. We'll see about that. Planetary Citizen, when are you all uniting to call for Schumer to step down? You must show a united front, not a disorganized shamble. You saw hold rallies every weekend around the country. Trump campaigned for well over 8 years, including during his last presidency. See AOC and Sanders for tips. Here, Obama knocks Chuck Schumer, Pelosi. The response, I've reached the 2008, 2012, 2020 plan, and all presidents and speakers hold up, come out, elements in court. What? I'm not even sure what this is about. CNN, 2025, full interview, Ro Khanna discussing DOE decreasing funds. Is there a new Dem Tea Party brewing? Should AOC challenge Chuck Schumer and Steve Bannon praising him? What is this?
In districts trying to capitalize.
What are you going to do for us? And what can we do?
That's a voter who was emotional, as you just heard, about future funding for cancer research. It was at a town hall yesterday hosted by my next guest, who is campaigning in Republican districts, trying to capitalize on anger that voters are feeling. Here with me now is Democratic Congressman Ro Khanna of California. Thank you so much for being here. We do have a lot to get to, but I want you to talk to me for a second about education. You heard Secretary McMahon make the case that the status quo isn't working. Test scores are low. A lot of key functions in the Department of Education, like protections for students with disabilities, could be done elsewhere in the federal government. They were before the Department of Education existed. Is she wrong?
Then I would just invite Secretary McMahon to my district, because yesterday in a town hall, it came out that 92 teachers for Head Start are given the pink slip. The staff is being laid off. And this is because there's no certainty that they're going to get the funding from the Department of Education. We have asked. The Department of Education isn't giving any guarantee that the funding is going to continue. And the same uncertainty exists with Title I funding for schools in working class neighborhoods and funding for kids with disabilities. So she's saying that that funding is going to continue, but she may just not be on the ground. I welcome her to come, and I'd love for her to assure my district that those Head Start teachers not get fired.
Yeah, well, I'm sure she will be happy to come there, and we'll make sure that she gets that message. I do want to talk about what you're doing in California. You are currently in Bakersfield. If people think that is a town that sounds familiar, it is because it is the former district of former Speaker Kevin McCarthy.
Oh, but we have some more. Check this out. Here are some spring breakers who think this shows you the state of the country right now. These spring breakers think America declared independence from Spain. U.S. Pentagon is square. There are 7 U.S. senators. The Civil War was fought between East and West. Second Amendment is the right to vote, and Asia is a state that borders Canada. Caitlin Bennett, Liberty Hangout. Check this out.
Who did the colonists fight in the Revolutionary War?
Oh, God. In the Revolutionary War?
It was, I don't know if this is right. I mean, it sounds so stupid. Was it the Spanish? Wait, what are your majors?
Business. Biology.
Okay. Elementary education. Oh. What shape is the U.S. Pentagon building?
Isn't it just a square?
How many U.S. senators are there?
6, 7. 6, 7. 2 for each state.
How many amendments are in the Bill of Rights?
There's a lot. I know 17.
Who won the Civil War?
It's East or West, right?
Well, it's the Civil War, so it's the civilians versus whoever was in power. How many justices are on the Supreme Court?
Justices. Mm-hmm. So like when you say that, you mean like the FBI?
Who is on the $100 bill?
Oh, I know.
Abraham Lincoln?
No.
Abraham Lincoln.
Come on, bro.
That's the First Amendment. What's the second?
Right to vote.
Name 3 states that border Canada. We'll just do 1 per person.
Asia.
I didn't know Canada had a border. Who did the colonists fight?
Oh, my goodness. I didn't know Canada had a border. So this Democrat implosion reveals the fundamental weakness of their coalition. It's held together by opposition to Trump, not by a cohesive vision for America. As AOC and other progressive circles Schumer like sharks, the party that once claimed moral superiority is devouring itself. I mean, look at these people here. Meanwhile, President Trump continues the methodical reconstruction of American greatness. And the contrast is breathtaking. One side consumed by infighting and identity politics, the other focused on jobs, security, and prosperity. The essential question facing voters, and for you in the comments, will America choose the path of endless progressive ideological purity tests or embrace the pragmatic results-driven approach that's already delivering tangible benefits? So show where you stand with our Next News gear. It's available at shop.nextnewsnetwork.com because actions will always speak louder than words.